You know what? This is supposed to be the kind of get right part of the season, right? This is supposed to be the time where the Ravens just reeling off win after win after win after win. But another blown lead, another tough loss. And sometimes, man, it just feels like there's no end in sight. All right, what is going on? Good people, back at it again. Flock Nation speaks Little Ravens. Rewind. Recap of this game. This Ravens Jaguars game that I've had more time than maybe I want to spend on it to think about and consider what to say and figure out what's going on, figure out is there a fix in sight, and go on from there. Been a lot of stuff going on with the Lamar Jackson tweet and all of that. But literally just venting his frustrations uh, because people are just talking and talking and talking, and it all goes back to Lamar getting all the criticism, similar to what Joe had to deal with too. Joe got all the criticism when you got this great defense on the other side, and you know, not a lot of weapons to speak of. It's even worse for Lamar, and it's crazy. But what's going on? DJ here, Flock Nation speaks. Man, I, I'm beyond frustrated. I'm beyond frustrated right now with this team, and I've been saying it for a while, and it's it becomes more and more frustrating loss by loss, right? Like we understand losses are going to happen, right? There's going to be games you don't show up. There's going to be games you come out flat. There's going to be games you're out coach. There's going to be games where you just don't execute, right? But we get that. But to see this happen time after time where at least at one point in the game, you're outplaying the opponent and still at the end of the day, you end up losing the game. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. And a lot of these losses have felt very 2019 playoffs ish, right? We've seen this story before. And I mean, 2019 ain't the only exception here, right? 2019 ain't the only part of this rule that's like, oh, yeah, that's the only place we can point to that one playoff loss. No. Like, literally every playoff loss has pretty much come down to one big stop, except for maybe the Titans game. And the crazy part about it is I'm just going to start with the defense because I'm just going to start with the defense because I can't, we can't lose a game unless it's literally, I don't, no, I'm going to be real with you. I don't think there's any way the Ravens can lose a game and the defense not be at fault at least 40%. Because we've seen this story before. Defense plays well throughout the entire game. You need one big stop. Yeah, I mean, the offense is struggling, whatever, right? The offense can't get into the end zone. It happens. Nobody's open on the offensive end. It happens. Gus Edwards fumbles. It happens, right? But the defense, where you pour dollar after dollar after dollar after even contract after contract sometimes, that's where the blame goes. I'm sorry. Lamar missed a throw to Demarcus Robinson where either he couldn't track the ball or Lamar missed the throw. Take it however you want to take it. Okay, miscommunication regardless, right? There are also drops on the offensive end, but we're not paying these wide receivers that much money to go out here and make plays anyway. That I've said it time after time again. They're on prove it deals this season. Are you good enough to stay on the roster? Are you good enough to get on someone else's roster and get an extension? This is your year to prove it, right? Especially without Bateman. This is your time. DeMarcus Robinson, this is the time to prove the Raiders wrong that they shouldn't have cut you. Prove the Chiefs wrong that you were the guy that should have stayed on the team as opposed to a McCole Hardman or somebody else, right? So, I mean, honestly, I'm not going to probably think of another game where I don't say the defense is at fault, because you have top players at every position, or at least at every position group. You are top to bottom so freaking good and so freaking talented. There's no way that the defense should lose any game. The defense should be turning people over, turning that into touchdowns. If the offense can't get it going, who cares? Who cares? All the money's on the defensive side. Who cares? We can't expect but so much from this offense. You have no true speed guy that can get open, right? Except for Deshaun Jackson, who can get open twice a game because that's about as many plays as he plays. You got other guys who are just on the field at this point, right? They are just on the field, hoping Lamar extends the play long enough for them to get open. That's the wide receiving core right now. That's it, right? Nobody has proven that they can consistently get open week after week. Nobody. So offensively, I don't know what else you can expect. Mark Andrews dropped a touchdown today. Josh Oliver dropped a touchdown today. One that was put right over the linebacker, and right before the safety could get there, pretty much where Josh Oliver could get it and nobody else could get it. And Josh Oliver couldn't get it. Now he got it back later. DeMarcus Robinson dropped a touchdown. One which is weird. Like listen to this. He dove for that ball that he probably didn't need to dive for, but couldn't dive for the deep ball that was just out of his reach. What? So I can't expect but so much from this offense. Let's remember, run first organization that drafts run first players with a run first offense, with a run first offensive coordinator, with not a lot of weapons to speak of on the outside, and every tight end known to man lining up at tight end, and Patrick Ricard out snapping most of your receivers. I don't know if I was supposed to expect Lamar to throw for 5,000 yards this season. How is he going to? You're in a run first offense on your third string running back and a guy you picked up off the street, and you're telling me you're still devoted to running the ball, not getting at least one weapon so we can kind of have a little bit of balance in the offense. Once again, this offense is built on a dominant run game, which is not even something they have right now, and efficient passing. I feel like the passing for the most part has been efficient, but I feel like we've needed more out of the passing game, and given the personnel, more can't happen. More can't happen with this team. Ever since Bateman went out, and I talked about it when I previewed this game, ever since Bateman went out, Duvernay has been a ghost. Duvernay has been a ghost. Halloween is over. He can come back. He can come back now. Halloween's over. He can come back. Right? DeMarcus Robinson has been hit or miss. You never know what you're really going to get out of him. James Prochet has been good for about a penalty a game. And I'm missing somebody. I don't even know who it is. Tylen Wallace. I mean, he there. Deshaun Jackson, 2 plays a game. Maybe. Okay. He can make 2 plays a game, and then he probably plays about 4 plays a game, and then he won't even play next game. Like I said before, I'm not worried. That's the issue with this offense. I'm not worried about anybody but Lamar Jackson, because if these other guys beat me, dang, that's 1 in a million. Because I can guarantee you they're not. I can guarantee you they're not going to beat me. There's no speed threat like Hollywood Brown. There's no consistent possession receiver like Willie Snead. And there's no openings for Mark Andrews, because I'm just going to take him away. I take Mark Andrews away. I take 8 away. Who's beating me? I'm not worried about him. Deshaun Jackson, he might beat me for 1 play. But am I worried about Deshaun consistently beating me? No. So the expectations for the offense shouldn't be as much as they seem like they should be because the personnel isn't there, right? The offensive line is still hurt. You don't have your top 2 running backs. I mean, Gus played this game, but he's still getting back to 100%. Your top 2 running backs aren't 100%. Let's just say it that way. And this line is This line seems better than they really are. Now the defense, on the other hand, outside of David Ajobo, who hasn't really played this season, outside of him, Kyle Hamilton, and Marcus Williams, the defense is healthy, and there's talent every freaking where. That's the thing. There's talent everywhere. The weakest link to the defense might be Geno Stone and Brandon Stevens, who have been here for years. And I mean, I don't even get it. The defense is good top to bottom, right? They're good enough to make the big play when the big play needs to be made. And time after time after time after time, you know what happens? This defense does what this defense does. I was watching the game, and as the Jaguars were driving down the field, converting 3rd and 15s and 4th and 8s, right, to win the game, I'm thinking this defense does what this defense does. Roquan Smith or not, this defense does what this defense does. When you need a stop more than anything in the world, if your season depends on it, right, they can't do it. They can't do it. This is not, somebody said, Rex Ryan a couple weeks ago said this is not your granddad's Baltimore Ravens defense. And they haven't been for the past 3, 4, 5 years. I'm reminded of the Chargers game when the offenses finally got going, potential to make a comeback. Defense can't make a stop. Chargers win. Right? Defense played pretty well against the Bills. I'll give them that. Right? Like I'm reminded of a lot of these Chiefs losses too, where you need a defense to make a stop and they just can't. They just can't. They can't do it. It's wild to me. It's wild to me. And the crazy part is to have 28 points, 27 points from this Ravens, from this Ravens offense and special teams, of course, with Justin Tucker almost somehow finding a way to win the game again. This is a heartbreaking loss, but it could also be like I want to say it could be a season turning loss, but I'm tired of saying that. I'm tired of watching you get your doors blown off in the 4th quarter by the Dolphins because you can't stop anybody. And it's supposed to be a season-defining loss. I'm tired of watching you get up against the Bills and they find a way to win because the defense can't stop Josh Allen with little to no time on the clock. I'm tired of that being season defining. I'm tired of the Giants game, a game once again where you're up double digits and the Giants somehow put double digits on this defense with no weapons, with the highest paid secondary probably in the league. And it's not true, but it's close to it. A extremely high paid secondary. This is on the defense for me. This is on the defense for me. We can't keep expecting Justin Tucker to work miracles and break records every time he kicks the ball because that's all we got. We can't keep relying on Lamar to make magic happen to get people open. That's what scheme is for. The scheme is not rely on Lamar Jackson's legs because I can't scheme a wide receiver open. It's crazy to me. It's crazy to me. I feel like I was a little bit speechless because I was feeling so good after that big Deshaun Jackson throw, perfect throw. If Deshaun Jackson hadn't laid down to go get it, He probably would have been still running, but big throw to Deshaun Jackson. But that's not enough. Offensively, that's not enough, right? Not only just that one big play, but having one talented guy who can track the ball, that's just not enough. And I've heard a lot of people say, a lot of it goes back to coaching and goes back to scheme and stuff like that, and why these guys can't get open. But I mean, I don't know what else can be said. I don't know what else can be said. Like, nobody's open. The running game is just silent. And you're supposed to be leaning on that. And it's not gonna work. Your only last option at trying to go get a guy is gonna be Odell. And who knows if Odell's gonna really want to sign with the Ravens, right? Because of the offense, but more so because there's probably teams that are offering you more money to possibly have a better chance at a championship. Now, if the Ravens sign Odell, then it's a big deal, right? Like, that's what's missing right now. I think if they sign Odell, I think things start to open back up for Duvernay and Demarcus Robinson. Because you got to, deal with Mark Andrews, you got to deal with Odell. But and it'll be interesting too if the Ravens don't sign Odell, because I'm not expecting it. If they utilize Likely a little bit more as a receiver as opposed to as a tight end. Because you have as many tight ends as you need. I wouldn't be surprised if they line Likely out, outside and have him kind of be that receiver that maybe you're missing. Now, can he do that? I don't know at this point. He's had his drop issues too. But but then again, you're depending on a rookie to do something that you probably should have drafted somebody to specialize in the first place, but you didn't. So I don't know. I'm beyond frustrated because it feels like it's time for a change, right? That's in a variety of ways, right? It feels like offensive coordinators got to go. It feels like at this point Harbaugh's got to go. Because Harbaugh can't get out of his own way. And neither can Greg Roman, right? Greg Roman can't adjust enough to make this team a playoff winning football team, not a winning football team, because they've done that. A playoff winning football team, because, once you play some of these teams in the playoffs, there's some good offenses coming into the playoffs, and you got the defense to defend, but can you score? Can you scheme up well enough to score? Now, this 2022 as opposed to 2019, I don't know. And you can't just keep continuing to rely on Lamar to put on the cape and bail you out. Top paid offensive coordinator. You can't keep relying on Lamar to bail you out every time. And then once he bails you out and this defense folds like the accordion that they are, who gets all the blame? It surely ain't Greg Roman in the media. It surely ain't Harbaugh in the media. It surely ain't the receivers who drop after drop after drop after drop. And I ain't talking about hits, right? And the tight ends, sure ain't them that's getting the criticism. It ain't the defense, right? It's not Marcus Peters, who was getting ate up yesterday, and probably obviously not 100%, but still, right? It's not Brandon Stevens. It's none of that. It's Lamar. Lamar gets all the criticism in the same way that Joe got all the criticism for not putting up 4,000 to 5,000 yards a season in a run-first offense where you run past the whole time. I don't get it. But nonetheless, 27 points. Is that enough? Right? That was my other question that I had. Is 27 points enough to win games in the NFL right now? Right? So let's just say 27 to 28. right? Because that last score, let's just say you have 27 points, you have 28 points, whatever, right? The Bills scored 28, they won this week. Cowboys scored 28, they won this week. Panthers 23, they won this week. Browns 23, they won this week. Ironically, Jaguars 28, they won this week, right? Dolphins were a tad over with 30, you know. The Bengals only scored 20. So it's like, and that's my thing. And you know, that's to name a few. You got the Chargers, who also won with 28 or less. The Chiefs, who also won with 28 or less, playing against a terrible defense, I might add. And you know, the Niners, but they were playing the Saints. So, but it's like 28 points, 27 to 28 points should be enough for your offense to win the game, right? Especially considering the defense you got. Because regardless of how kind of sluggish the offense looked in this game, they still scored the equivalent of 4 touchdowns. Now, albeit I know a lot of them were field goals and there were points left on the board. I get that. There were points left on the field, and I understand that. But at the end of the day, they scored 27 points. So with them scoring 27 points, they should be able to win because, once again, this defense, if they ain't the highest paid defense in the league, I don't know who is. If they ain't the defense with the most resources in the league and the most experience in the league, I don't know who is. I really don't. I would need to know because they got to be. So that's my thing. That's my thing. Now, last thing, can this offense turn around? Once again, this is an offense, and I want to remind you all as well while we're on it. You can't lead the league in rushing and lead the league in passing. It's really difficult to do, right? The Bills put up good numbers every year, can't run the ball worth a darn. The Chiefs, same way, right? I think the Chargers have a pretty good run game, but also I know Eckler catches the ball too. So, you know, that's probably another portion of that probably is unseen. But that's the thing. And I mean, even like the Dolphins don't run the ball well, right? They just had to go grab Jeff Wilson Jr. to kind of give themselves a little bit of balance. The Bills grabbed somebody off of the at the trade deadline to make something happen, make something shake with their run game. So can this offense be fixed? Considering, right? Like, can this offense be fixed with Odell? I think definitely. Because Odell brings back what Bateman brought to the table. Regardless of what you think about Bateman, number one, not number one, he was taking away a top corner and he was getting open pretty consistently. So at least you had to respect him. Odell's going to do the same thing. He's going to get open consistently. You got to respect Odell until proven otherwise. So that adds a new wrinkle, a different wrinkle that we don't really have right now into this Ravens offense. Now, if they can pull Will Fuller off the street somewhere, wherever he's at, that will be interesting too. But since he hasn't played half of the season, didn't go through training camp, and he's already a guy who is prone to injury and not necessarily because of rehab, then I don't think it's necessarily worth it at this point. So the question becomes, can the Ravens get back to what they want to get to and win games? Once again, the Ravens are predicated on a dominant run game, not a good run game, not a top 5 run game, like top 1 or 2 run game, and efficient passing, right? That's touchdowns over yards, which a lot of times the running backs are taking touchdowns away because of the way the offense is constructed, right? So that's the thing. Can the Ravens get back to this dominant run game? I don't know. I know Gus only had like 3.5 to 3.8 yards per carry yesterday in his first game back. But considering that, I think, you know, and in the next game and the next game, I think Gus just gets better and better. I think the Ravens can get back to that dominant run game. They're constructed to do so. It should be easy, right? They're constructed to do so. You have Pat Ricard, one of the only fullbacks in the game, and a solid blocking fullback, not necessarily screen fullback, but a blocking fullback. You have the running backs, right? Regardless of if JK doesn't come back healthy this year, Gus and someone else is viable. Gus and Justice Hill, that's viable. Gus and Kenyon Drake, that's viable, right? That's worthy enough with the threat of Lamar Jackson to be dominant. Now, the question becomes, can the Ravens create an efficient passing game? Now, albeit given the numbers, the Ravens have created an efficient passing game, but they don't have the run game to supplement playing efficient, right? Playing not even necessarily game managerial, right? Not even that, more so just playing efficiently. So my question becomes, can they create an efficient passing game with this particular core of receivers? And that's hard for me to say unless they're going to extend their run game to create a passing game, right? Similar to like we was talking about before with the Titans, right? I thought I honestly, like, and I know they lost yesterday, but I thought the Titans were rebuilding. Like, I thought it was over. Like, I thought the Titans little run that they've had, it was done. And instead, they traded AJ Brown. They got some draft picks for it. They drafted a wide receiver, and they have been just as good. I don't even know if I'd say better, but they've been at least just as good as they've been in the past, leaning on their run game and throwing the ball, you know, with the talent they got at receiver. I think that's the adjustment that has to be made. If you're not going to go out and get anybody, and the Ravens have proven that they won't, for lack of a better term, if you're not going to get anybody, then your best bet is to lean on your run game and create a solid play action scheme off of it. Because the crazy part about it is there was one play that I remember right off the top of my head. I want to believe this was the Prochet play that got called back, but there was one play that was considering they're a run first team, they never do this, but play action from under shotgun, under center, play action, and they come out here and they run that doggone bootleg. They ran the darn bootleg, and somebody was open, right? Somebody was open. They ran that bootleg, and somebody, like, I think it was Prochet. I want to believe it was Prochet. But anyway, somebody was open. I remember it. And I'm like, why don't they do that more? I literally, after the play, it was like, it's amazing what happens when you utilize this run game that you tried your best to create. It's amazing what happens. So that's the thing. It's tough to know. Are they going to create this passing game that we hope for and we want to see? I don't know. I don't know. Because to be efficient, you either got to have the talent that's going to get open already, or you got to have a scheme that's worthy of working people open. And we've seen that both of those are lacking right now until proven otherwise. But tough loss. Hopefully, the Ravens bounce back against the Broncos next week. It's definitely gonna be interesting. I mean, I'll have a preview for it, and I mean, we've seen it this season. Nothing's a for sure thing, and that's for everybody, you know. And for those of us who feel like I don't know if the Ravens are one and done when they get to the playoffs, you know, I don't believe that necessarily either because nobody's dominant. Nobody. There's not one team out here that's dominant right now. You know, there is not one team that is dominant right now. And we've seen the Ravens can compete with everybody, right? They have the potential to beat everybody, but can they stop the self-inflicted wounds that have been the Ravens for the past 2 seasons, really, 3 seasons? Can they stop that? I don't know. But after a disappointing loss, hopefully bounce back week coming and we can stack some wins because they were doing pretty good for a little bit there. But the offense got to look better. The defense got to close out, and that's just how it's got to be. And I mean, even special teams was bad in this game, except for Tucker, right? Except for Tucker, like Duvernay returning the ball was awful. Like it was terrible. But anyway, as always, you can always check out Flock Nation Speaks on all the different platforms. That's YouTube, Facebook. If you want to watch that, it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. If you want to listen, and be sure to subscribe or whatever you do over there, like, favorite, whatever you do over on those platforms. If you're on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. If you're on Facebook, be sure to hit the like, and vice versa. Definitely hope you guys enjoyed. Gonna definitely try to get a preview out this week. May try to get like a guest on or something just to just change it up a little bit. I mean, going solo for a bit, so I might try to see if I can get somebody else on for the preview. But as always, definitely hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you guys on the next one. For Flock Nation Speaks, it's been fun.